This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Cowboys OT following a 28-23 loss to Philadelphia. There is lots to talk about whenever it comes to Mike McCarthy and some of the decision-making for this team and really some of the plays that this one boiled down to. Let's hear from Mike at the podium at Lincoln Financial Field.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming from behind. I'm sorry, you want me to go just to the last series or?
Yeah, I mean, just you're fighting from behind most of the second half, and then you have a shot down there first and goal.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, stating the obvious, it's a game of inches, and we came up, an inch or two short on a couple plays. But love the way our team plays. I love our play style. Give the Eagles credit. It's a great home environment here. I have a lot of appreciation for Jeff Lurie and what they've done here. So love to come here and compete, and we knew this was the kind of game it was going to be. And, like I said, we came up short. So that's why we work the way we work, and that's what we'll do. We'll get back to work. So a lot of football left to be played, but we had our opportunities, and we were in position to win the game.
Coach, I don't know, did y'all get a replay? Can you talk about the replays and certainly the touchdown to Schoonmaker? How did you feel about how they went down?
I mean, I think you're talking about the process, or?
Well, yeah, with the short, I don't know how you felt.
Yeah, I mean, based on what they had up on the jumbotron, it definitely, I can see why they overturned it. But when they call it on, it could go either way. I mean, that's like you said, it's a game of inches. So we were short.
Mike, talk to you again. How do you come back from something like this? How much, in a strange way, is there a belief or a confidence that you have coming out of fighting back the way you did?
No, we had chances to win that game. I don't really think we were fighting back. I mean, we had the lead in the first half. We had that stretch of penalties there. I mean, it's the ebb and flow of a football game. I mean, that's the way these games go. I mean, they're a very good team. We feel great about our team, and we need to learn from these mistakes because that's what these games come down to. I mean, it's and you get into these type of games, and even more so, if you get into playoff football, it's you have to make one more play in the other team. And that's what this game was tonight. We needed to make one more play.
Tim Cowshaw, Dallas Morning News. Is it kind of hard to believe you got from the 14 to the 6 as quickly as you did, and then you didn't win the game?
Well, I'll say this. We put a tremendous amount of time into those situations, more so than ever in my career, particularly last 3 years. So, no, I'm not surprised at all because, even that last throw, I mean, that's something that you practice a lot. You don't get to call it, hopefully you're not calling it too much, but, our guys were very comfortable in that situation, that space, and it's because of the work they put in.
But then as far as failing with the 2 sacks and the delay.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, it's a game. It's an ebb and flow of a football game. I mean, there's back and forth. I mean, it's the second half. There was very little penalties called in the first half, and then, the penalties come into play for both teams in the second half.
So overall, whenever you look back at this game, there will be moments from both sides. Philadelphia, they let Dallas get back in it. Dallas had a shot all the way up till the end. Crazy that you even got to that point. Mm-hmm. Dallas, on the other side, botched multiple opportunities to either take control or stay within striking distance before having to make the comeback that Mike McCarthy's talking about. Isaiah, when you look back at this game, which moment is going to stick out the most for you?
For me, it just comes down to that last quarter and Coach McCarthy's decision to not take the 3 points. I feel like he got a little bit emotionally invested into the game. It's just the hardest thing as a coach. I mean, that's all we can do is sit here and depict what decisions he made, what decisions he didn't make. But I felt like, as we even sat here in the studio, I'm like, in tight games like this, you have to just give yourself striking distance chance. to be able to take those 3 points that are almost guaranteed, barring anything crazy happening, and then trusting your defense to get yourself the ball back. Because when you take those calculated risks, they're just that. They're calculated. And if it doesn't go in your favor, then you find yourself in a situation on the last drive where instead of a field goal really putting you in a situation to win the game, now you have to score a touchdown. You never want to be in those have to score a touchdown situations, but that's exactly where they found themselves in this game.
I agree with you with that right there. But what gets me the most is Schoonmaker, just one more step. One more step up the field, then come across and you catch that ball. Dak being aware. I know you're trying to get away from stuff, but Dak being aware of where he's at. Those were points that was truly missed, and that's what I'm going to remember about this game. But those little things the coach can take and make a positive. He can say, look at this, fellas. If we just pay attention to detail, or the offsides, if we just pay attention to details, look where this put us in the game.
I think, like you said, details are the number one thing that it boils down to for me. Whenever you look at this team and you look at the opportunities that were there were opportunities all the way through for this team to make an impact, whether it was just take the points. I agree with you completely. I think in that situation, you take the points. Maybe the pride factor of playing against Philadelphia, playing on the road, trying to make an impact with one play, that certainly plays into it. But it also, like you said, gives you a puncher's chance down the stretch. You may not have gotten the stop because Philadelphia had their backs against the wall. They had to work out. You may not have gotten the stop. So hindsight's 20/20 either way. But at least it gets you within striking distance, like you said, Isaiah. How much in a rivalry matchup like this?
Decisions, and those decisions, sometimes they work in your favor, but a lot of times they don't. And I don't necessarily knock Coach McCarthy for too many of the decisions that he made today. I think he called one heck of a game. I think his team executed relatively well. But I think in that situation, I think you just have to take what you can. When you're going against a really tough defense, you're not running the ball effectively. You're really negated to just. You're forced to just throw the ball, consistently. You had to throw the ball 44 times tonight. Yeah. It's not what you want to do. But when you know that you're in that situation, take the points.
And a lot of times that's from playing from behind. Yep. That's where it gets you. You have to play back into it. When we come back, both of the tight ends had impact plays, both good and bad, in this matchup. We're going to hear from both Jake Ferguson and Luke Schoonmaker and their locker room reaction when we come back on Cowboys OT.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back to Cowboys OT. Jake Ferguson and Luke Schoonmaker both had impact plays in the loss. Ferguson ends with a career-high 91 yards, and Luke Schoonmaker had 1 yard, but it might have been the most impactful yard reception of the entire Cowboys season. Here's what both had to say following the loss.
situation on the field. We almost made it in.
Yeah, I put that one on me, honestly. Play before was a delayed game, and I couldn't hear. But I got to know in that situation what kind of play we're going to call, what we're thinking, and that just starts with lining up and getting the playoff. And I mean, that last play we were 5 yards short, 4 yards short. We don't get that delayed game, maybe we're in the end zone.
You personally, with your connection with Dak, recently it's been really good. I mean, do you feel like, other than the end of the game and all that, I know it's a frustrating loss, but from that situation, do you feel like you guys are really starting to click right now, that connection between you and Ford?
For sure. I think it goes back to our preparation and what we do earlier in the week. I think while it is kind of growing right now, I do got to be better on my end. Just catching the ball. I think I definitely had two that I should have had in my eyes. And yeah, just got to keep going in and keep working after practice, whatever it may be, meeting room, whatever it is. Just keep going.
You look past the frustration of the loss and take anything positive from this?
I'm sure there's some positive things. I'm not very positive right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like that, but everything happens for a reason. So.
You make a great catch, and you think you're in a little touchdown. There's thinking about what it feels like. How would you describe it?
It's hard. I mean, especially in a game like this. But again, short-term memory, and we did make up for it after. But yeah, it's just kind of forgetting about it, honestly, in a game like this. Yes, it's just continuing to have confidence, honestly, and nothing's going to change. We're not going to be phased. We're going to run the same plays, work as hard, and even harder now. But those things happen, and it all happens for a reason, but I know we're all going to bounce back from it. I mean, just so reliable, and what a leader. Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games, and the confidence is just through the roof, I think, with everybody, and we'll bounce back.
I know it was an outside notion, but this was considered a litmus test game. If so, what did you learn about your team, and how did you do on the test?
I mean, we had a great week of preparation, and we knew what this game meant to us, this week meant to us, and we just fell short this time, and we get back on the horse and focus on the next week. But yeah, just a great week going into this, leading up to it. Everybody really excited and knowing how big it was, and I have no doubt that we'll see them down the road again.
What does it help to know that you're going to get them in 5 weeks at home?
Absolutely. Yep.
On that note, did you need this kind of performance to have confidence, or did you guys in yourselves, or did you guys kind of already have it?
No, I think we did. I think we had it all week.
So Luke Schoonmaker, following the loss against Philadelphia, of course, we've already talked about the 1-yard nearly touchdown grab that would have been a game changer should it have converted. But Isaiah, when you look at Luke Schoonmaker and these tight ends, they were both involved heavily throughout the game plan. What did you think about what he had to say? Let's just go straight thoughts on what he had to say there.
Both running that same concept down there on the goal line. A.J. Brown scored on it tonight as well. How could I have ran this a little bit better? Did I run it deep enough? Should I push it up and snapped it off? There's all kinds of analytical things you can get into, but ultimately you go back and you find a way to get better. You don't want to forget this. You want to remember this. Let this be a sore, painful spot in your memory bank that you can learn from, because you're going to be in a situation again. You're going to have an opportunity again. And the next time, this memory will help you be more successful.
I agree 100%, Isaiah. He's got to just go over it in his mind, to the point where it makes you sick. Yep. So when you were preparing for another big game like this, you're like, okay, you're looking from every angle possible as a player to not let this happen again. And, hey, Ferguson, you just keep doing your thing. And Schoonmaker, continue to learn.
There's a lot to learn on both sides of the ball here, defensively, offensively, individually. There's a lot here. And we talked about it right off the jump. Every play mattered. I don't know if any play mattered more than that one at that very moment. A couple inches in one direction. This might be a happy post-game show as opposed to a very analytical and reflective post-game show. When we come back, we'll see how reflective Micah Parsons is. We'll hear from the defensive leader when we come back right after this. Jalen Hurts did not have an interception thrown against this Dallas defense. Certainly something Dan Quinn and company wanted to take advantage of. Same thing for Micah Parsons. But they did put pressure on Hurts throughout the matchup. Let's hear from Micah on how he felt like the defense filled that void in the loss against Philadelphia.
Like I always tell you guys, the margin of penalties and errors is so slim. I mean, we step out on the goal line, knee hits the ground before the goal line. Crucial penalties on drives that, we should have got off the field. It's a hard league to win in. And when you kind of beat yourselves on certain things and other factors don't help, it really hurts. So, I mean, we could take away the game that there was a chance we could have won. Either way you look at it, it was a close game. It was 50-50 toss-up. We had a chance to win there at the end, but we didn't. So we got to get back to the drawing board and get ready for next week.
How do you find yourself defensively? You got 3 stops late to give the team a chance again, but just kind of put yourself in the hole with that third quarter defense.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? 2 defensive pass interferences on 1 drive. I mean, I think you would chalk that up as a very good day when we hold that Eagles power offense, who's been throwing for 300 and whatever, to Jalen Hurts 180 yards, less than 300 total yards. I mean, you could say what we want. I feel like we did a great job, but there was times in the game where, it didn't turn our way.
Does it kind of feel like these are just 2 really good teams, and that's going to happen when you have 2?
Yeah, that's exactly what I know. There's some penalties they wish they could get back, and, that helped us get down the field and things like that. But when you have a clash like that, Eagles-Cowboys, there's nothing like it, Exactly. You learn what we messed up on, what we can learn from, how we did ourselves, but we're gonna see them again. That's the enjoyable part. A team like the 49ers and we won't see them again, but we got a chance to get our redemption and at home where we've been pretty dominant, so it'll be exciting.
Mike, how much confidence did you guys have going into this game, and does this result change that at all, elevate it?
I mean, I feel like we got even more confidence now. I feel like everybody had us out and everyone was praising this Eagles team. Obviously, we gave them their best fit, and I'm not even going to spit fuel on the fire. We'll see them again in 4 weeks.
Yeah. Defensively, overall, the scheme you had on Will Brown, keeping on such a low, being able to take him out defensively, what that said about y'all.
Yeah, they don't want to pass that ball. They know what it was. We lost the game. They just had some explosive plays and some penalties. I thought the ball with Devontae was a great ball and connection, but outside of that, it was a toss-up. Where we thought they would win, they won on 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts. That continued drives, but we need to make those stops and adjustments, though.
This game is considered a test. How would you grade yourself on the test?
I don't think we failed. I think this is another learning experience, and we just got to get better. It's frustrating.
Like on that last drive, did you feel you almost had that fumble? How did you see it?
It's another point of interest. The ball rode their way every which way tonight. There's not too many happens where you get 2 touchdowns called back in the 4th quarter, where, I just feel like it just rode their way tonight and got to live with it.
Micah Parsons finishes with a 1.5 sack total, totaling in 13 yards. There you see the numbers to fit.
Recover. They made plays when they had to. They got their offense off the field when they needed to. They just needed a little bit more help from our offense. And like he said, the ball bounced their way tonight, and their players made play when need be.
I don't know what else you could really ask of this defense aside from the fact that they didn't get any turnovers, but they only allowed 3.3 yards rushing per attempt. They only allowed 200 yards passing in the air. So I don't know what else you could really expect from these dudes. I mean, they pretty much stopped and shut down. Well, this is considered a shutdown of a very dynamic offense that had a lot of their weapons in place, and they just did not get a turnover. And to your point, Nate, yeah, the offense just needed to help them out just a little bit more.
So Micah said there he felt like they did not fail from a defensive standpoint. But whenever you look at this defense, they're built off of the takeaway, right? They've led the NFL in takeaway the last 2 years. So when they're built to force those turnovers to get the ball back for your offense and they don't do that, Do you classify that as a failure for your defense?
No, I mean, because takeaways aren't guaranteed. I mean, takeaways are a luxury. I mean, that's something that this team has gotten spoiled by over the past few years underneath this Dan Quinn offense, and personnel allots for it. Situations present themselves, but that's just that. When opportunities present themselves, you take full advantage of them. Turnovers don't always present themselves as opportunities. But again, you stop these dudes from running the ball effectively. You stop these dudes from throwing the ball effectively. There's not much else you can do. You just did not get an opportunity to have a turnover. You got to score more points.
You know, you kept them around 105, 109 yards, and I thought if you did that, you would be in this game. And they were in the game. Yeah. And once again, I mean, just coming down the stretch, their defensive line made plays. You don't want to ignore what Brandon Graham did and what Jalen Carter did at the end of the game. They just kept pressure on us, and they kept doing what they needed to do.
Yeah, the pressure was there all the way through, and Dak was under pressure quite a bit, especially down the stretch. He took some sacks that it looked like he may not have taken, but it didn't really affect the win or lose side of things. It put them in a tough spot, but they fought their way back.
Yeah, he fought their way back. And so the reality is, as we talk about some of this defense, Jalen Hurts only dropped back 23 times. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of opportunities there, right? So you look at Dak dropped back 44 times, right? He had 44 attempts versus 23 attempts. So their defensive line had almost 21 more opportunities to go ahead and try to get sacks on Dak versus on the flip side. So there weren't a lot of opportunities there. Even when Philadelphia was dropping back, they weren't throwing a bunch of deep balls. So I think this defense played very well. Michael Parsons just said it there. He's more confident now than he was going into the game, and they should be, because this is an execution of what your defensive game plan was, and I think they did a heck of a job.
And they'll have to get right back at it next week as well. They need to continue to force takeaways, continue to put pressure on on an offense rather, and keep that moving in the right direction. When we come back, though, Dak Prescott was moving in the right direction for much of this game, played really his heart out all the way through. We'll talk about whether or not you can talk about Dak as the reason for this loss when we come back. $29 of 44, 374 yards and 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions for Dak Prescott. That's the stat line for QB1. Here's what he had to say following the loss to Philadelphia.
Yeah, you said it. It's a game of inches. It's why you got to love this game. It's tough. It's tough to win. We fought our asses off. Obviously, they did. Great NFC East matchup. They came out with it tonight. But as you just said, an inch or two on one of those 3 plays, and we could be talking about a different outcome. So, but they got this one. Sucks. We're gonna take it. We're gonna move forward, and and use the fight, use a lot of the success. A lot of good things came out of this game despite the loss. On the road, division game, great opponent they are, success that they've had in their environment. As I said, it sucks in the moment, but a lot of good we can take from this and use as we keep going.
Dak, talks with you. It's been CD Lamb and what he's been able to do these last few weeks. You've told us before it's about the work you guys have all put in. Is there anything above and beyond that where you guys just feel like you're locked in with each other?
I mean, it goes back to the work. It goes back to the chemistry, the trust. A lot of guys put in work in the offseason. There's many days where it was just me and CD, to be honest with you. So, I mean, and when that happens, there becomes, communication, a chance to talk, a chance to just get on the same page. And as I said last week and before, I mean, you got to credit Mike, Shotty, those guys for the designs and putting him in favorable matchups. And then obviously it's just CD Lamb being CD Lamb, being a big-time player, some run after catch, making big-time catches, and wanting the ball, wanting to be in those positions, wanting to be in those situations, as we talked about probably a month ago, right, from the frustration. And that's where that came from, is he knows what he can bring to this team. He knows what he can do with the ball in his hand, and it's just been consecutive weeks now that he's continued to show that, and don't expect anything to change.
You get down to the 6 on that last drive. After starting at 15, what's going through your mind? Because you get down there pretty quickly.
Sure, we're going to win. I mean, at no point in my mind throughout that game did I think anything different. Obviously, it sucked in the first possession, or that second to last possession, not converting that fourth down, but having tons of trust in our defense. They go out there and they do what they need to do, get us the ball back, and with under a minute left, still got trust that we're going to go out there and we're going to trust and faith just in our guys and what the work that we've put in, that we're going to get it done. And yeah, we got close. We got close. We're doing things the right way. We just got an inch here, an inch there, make that difference, and we'll find a way to gain that.
Dak, The Athletic. You talked about trust. You went to Luke Schoonmaker and Jalen Tolbert in some big moments. How have you developed that trust in a lot of these supplementary weapons outside of CD and those guys?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing things the right way. They come in each and every day with the right approach. Young guys who are hungry to learn, young guys who are hungry to make plays. They want more responsibility, and when you see them make catches and make plays like that's what it comes from, is them practicing the right way, them being in the right spot, doing things at practice, making those catches at practice when we compete and go against our defense. And then when you get out here, you just have trust. I mean, I've talked about it before. That's me just going through my reads, trusting the guys that coaches put in those spots, and these young guys have been stepping up and making plays.
Here's a look at the offensive stats for the Cowboys in the Week 9 loss against Philadelphia. Final score 28-23. Welcome back into Cowboys OT with Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. And gentlemen, just to pull the curtain back a little bit here, after every Cowboys loss, I normally do get on Twitter, get on X, whatever you want to call it, and I try and gauge just the temperature of Cowboys Nation. Most of the time, it's boiling hot after a loss. That's just how it goes, being a part of Cowboys Nation. This time I went into it, and I've seen lots of Cowboys fans putting the blame on Dak Prescott. I want to just get your reaction to that and what you would say to fans that would put Dak in that category whenever you've seen the stat lines, saw the way that they almost came back and won this football game. Yes, there are moments for everyone where they didn't have their best game. But that's the point, is it's not all on 4. And I just want to get your opinion whenever you hear those opinions.
Yeah, and for those that have those opinions, everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
No doubt.
One, all right. Number 2, you guys are being emotionally irrational right now. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that you're not emotionally intelligent right now to be able to step back. And looked about Dak over the past few games, he was able to do that again today. He utilized his legs to extend plays, which resulted in touchdowns. He also utilized his legs to move the chains. He also sat back and almost threw for 70% completion off of, 44 attempts, no interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 374 yards. He had one heck of a game. He was under a lot of pressure. Yeah, he had 5 sacks, but he's not the one blocking the last time I checked, Nate. So he did a heck of a job. I have no issues with Dak tonight.
This man has kept us in 3 games. We've won 2 of them. We lost tonight, but not because of Dak, but because at the end they made the bigger plays. Brandon Graham, Jalen Carter, defensive tackle. They made the bigger plays. They got sacks. Dak is playing great football right now. we can continue to look on X, we can look on Facebook, we can YouTube it, whatever you want. But all the people that really knows football, like my man Isaiah said, right now you just a little bit upset and a little bit hot because I ain't no bigger Cowboy fan than me because I'm sitting back like, well, how did we lose this game? Because Dak kept us in this game. That is your quarterback.
I agree with you completely. And everybody's entitled to your own opinion. I completely agree with that as well. But Dak Prescott kept you in this game. You were not in a chance at the end of this ball game to win it at the very end up until the final snap without Dak Prescott as your quarterback. Plain and simple. He's not the one to blame. Everyone is to blame. It's a team loss just as much as a team win. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the opposite side of the football. Stefon Gilmore gives his thoughts following the 28-23 loss to Philadelphia with more Cowboys OT right after this. Dallas falls to Philadelphia 28-23. Here's what Cowboys cornerback Stefon Gilmore had to say.
We should have won that game, but, you know, that's the National Football League. If you don't, it come down to the wire like that, they was able to make more plays than we did.
The defense for you guys made the stops like down the stretch you needed to as well. I mean, that's a rallying point this year for this group, correct?
Yeah, it was big to make those stops and get an offensive chance to go down and, you know, score. But, you know, we played hard enough to win today. We just didn't come out on the end.
Mike just said that, you know, it's a game of inches, and that was the case for a few plays. How do you kind of see where you guys measure up with a team when it is that close?
We know what type of team we got. You know, we measure up to anybody. I like us against anybody. So we just wasn't able to get it done today. We know we should have, and we go learn from it and go to next week.
Can you see past the frustration of not winning and take something positive from it or not?
It's tough. I mean, not really, because I hate losing. It sucks, you know. I just hate losing. So we just got to just go back to the drawing board and go from there.
How frustrated were you with that penalty in the third quarter?
Bad. I mean, I was jamming them. They missed a lot today, but, you know, that's how it goes. You know, you just got to keep fighting and keep playing.
Did you get an explanation from them on it?
No.
It's a non-play. He had given up on the ball, too.
That's what I'm saying. He threw it out the back of the end zone. Out the end zone. So, you know, you got to ask them that.
Did you think it was uncatchable?
Stefon Gilmore following the loss. When we come back, we take a look ahead. What does this loss do for the NFC East picture? More Cowboys OT right after this. The Philadelphia Eagles maintain the best record in the NFL as they are now 8-1 with the defeat of the Dallas Cowboys 28-23. Back with Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans here on Cowboys OT. Following the loss, this puts Dallas 2.5 games back in the NFC East. That's a long way to go against the team that has the best record in football. Nate, whenever you are faced with a deficit like this, there's really no room for error from this point forward if you want to win the division.
It's a forest out there, right? And you look at one tree at a time. There's a big redwood in front of you. Don't worry about them 2 or 3 redwoods behind that because they finna go down murderer's row here. You just take care of that redwood in front of you. Chop it down, win it, and then you move to the next one. And then you break that one down. But you do not look ahead at all costs. You look at the little things that you've done wrong, and you fix those things so you can become a stronger team.
Yeah, it's like, for me, it's like Mortal Kombat. Back in the day, you used to play, old school games, and you try to play the mode where you got to beat one opponent and you got to go on to the next, and you got to face Guru at the end, right, with the forearms. That you can't worry about him at the end. You got to take the next guy in front of you, like Nate just said, knock him out the way. Go to the next one, knock him out the way, and then you just hope. Right? You just hope that your opponents will drop a couple because their schedule is tough right now. Yeah. Your schedule is tough in the end of the season. You can't worry about getting there right now, but you have to take care of your opponents that are lining up next on your schedule. Including the Cowboys, and this is going into this matchup. The next 6 opponents for Philadelphia have a combined .684 win percentage this season, and we're all 2022 playoff teams. Here are the next 5 opponents now that Philadelphia is past Dallas. At Kansas City, at home against Buffalo, at home against San Francisco, on the road against Dallas, which I think we've seen already. Dallas can win that game. And then at Seattle next 6 weeks. And then they've got the bye week in week 10. So they're going into their bye week now. And then they load up for that stretch of the next 5 games. So there's an opportunity here. But like you said, Isaiah, you've got to take care of what you can take care of, which right now is getting ready for next week, making sure you're ready for the Giants back at home, continue that home winning streak, and put yourself in position in order to win some games. Yeah, Coach McCarthy likes to talk about mojo moments. You learn from this moment, and then hopefully over the next few weeks you can get some mojo back in yourself. You talk about the next few games because you have the Giants popping up. They have their own troubles that they're dealing with. It sounds like Danny Dimes might have an ACL injury that he's got to deal with. So you might have a little bit of a little bit of confidence heading into that game. Then you got to worry about the Panthers, and then you got Washington Commanders. So there's about 3 games here where you feel like on paper you should be able to build up some momentum, but then your rough stretch starts, and that's what you have to work towards as you get ready for the last part of your season. Our mojo moment, we had a lot of them this past game. I mean, and you were successful in a lot of these mojo moments. We lost a few, and you won a lot. What the Cowboys have to do here, Isaiah, what they have to do here, Kyle, is learn how to kick the door in. When you have that special time, don't have an illegal formation. Don't line up outside. You got to pay attention to details. We kept playing it over and over, inches. Now you got to bust the door down, and you got to take it one at a time, making these steps up. And this Mortal Kombat, never played it, but I like how it sounds. Well, I think there's an argument that has to be made of they've kicked the door down a couple times this year. I mean, 43-20 against the Rams. You talk about 38-3 against the Patriots, 30-10 against the Jets, and then 40-0 the Giants the first time around. But it's kicking down the door against good teams, against playoff caliber teams. You haven't done that yet. 2 games that you've played so far against playoff caliber opponents, you're 0-2. One of them was a blowout, 42-10 against San Francisco. Where do you want to see them improve? And you can't help who you're playing. The opponent on the other side is the opponent for a reason. But whenever you get in those big games, how do you take advantage? Just take care of self. Schoonmaker tonight, you think about that, tell her, honey, hey, babe, I want to think about this. I want to see this in my mind over and over. You want to make those plays. You want to, it's Terrence Steele. You're like, hey, what did I do wrong here? I gave him a few quick escapes at big moments. Like, what do I do right here? You got to go back and you got to look at this film and you got to let it hurt inside. Yeah. And then you got to apply it on the field, let it transfer into the field, and then you forget about it when you get successful. When you get better and better as a player, then you can forget about it. Yeah, you just talk about letting it hurt. I feel like in the world that we're in right now, everybody wants to avoid pain, right? And it's a very sensitive industry that we kind of live in right now. But the reality is, let it hurt. Let it propel you to be better. You know, you got your butts kicked by the 49ers earlier in the year, and you were talking about a measuring stick game against a team that's a playoff team, obviously. Right? Everybody's going to look at it and say, oh, you lose the games against the teams that really matter. No. You took that and you got punched in the mouth, and you know what? You learned about yourself. So what do? You go on a nice little winning streak, okay? From there, what happens? Now you play against the Philadelphia Eagles, and you just lost. But look at how far you've come since the 49ers game to where you are against Philadelphia. It's all about baby steps. Yes, you took the L, but what did they say? You learned a lot about yourself today. We've gotten better today. We have more confidence today. So they closed that gap. That gap that was earlier in the season is no longer this big. All right, now you shorten that gap up. You know where you are, and now hopefully you can get on the positive edge of that measuring stick because you definitely gained some ground.
5-3 is the record. Their next 3 games, Giants, Panthers, Commanders. Winnable. Take care of business. That next measuring stick might come against the Seahawks team that got railroaded by the
their backs hits.
Baltimore Ravens today. So they're having a check with me moment as well. Lots to talk about here. But when we come back, it starts with next week. What do the Giants look like? What do the Cowboys have to expect from this week of preparation? More Cowboys OT right after this.
The Cowboys OT was brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and by blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
This one will sting for a little bit as the Cowboys fall to the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. 28-23, the final score in Week 9. The Cowboys now at 5-3. Philadelphia has the NFL's best record at 8-1. As we wrap things up here on Cowboys OT from the Globe Life Studios with Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Nate, I'll start with you. You get a chance to rebound against the Giants this week at home. You've won 11 straight road games. How do you keep that going this week?
Just, prepare. I hear every week we prepare great. This team prepares. But you know what? You know the force to play with. From the 49ers now to Philadelphia, you know the force to play with. You know how to study now. You know the small things that you have to overcome. Do that and feel that pain, man, and let it drive you.
Yeah, let that pain drive you, but also learn how to be ruthless. When you talk about, you're going back home now, you've won 11 straight home games, you're doing your thing, okay, you got a little hurt, you got a little pain that you want to rebound from. Go out there and don't take it easy on anybody. I don't care who your opponent is. If you get up by 40, that's not enough, okay? As long as they touch the field, they are stepping up to get knocked down. So that's what I want to see out of the Dallas Cowboys. I want to see them be relentless. I want to see them be ruthless and continue to just power drive teams into the ground even when they're not at their level.
So maybe like what Dallas did against the New York Giants the first time around. around a little bit, right? Because it was 40-0, the final score back in week 1. Different Giants team, a Giants team that didn't play very well today either, so they'll be looking for a rebound as well. Just so you know, an early announcement, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, myself, Nicole Hutchison, we will all be on site at AT&T Stadium next week for Cowboys pregame live. We get started at 2 p.m. Central Time. Come out and join us on the Cowboys Plaza. We'll be there for pregame and postgame. Should be fun. That does it for us on Cowboys OT as the Cowboys fall to Philadelphia. Final score 28-23.